It is almost the end of January 2023, and before I get stuck in the rut of creating, I decided to challenge myself and to try new things this year. I feel like I have become very comfortable with the neural lines, and it's something I will always probably go back to. So if you've come to my channel and have subscribed to my channel because of the neurographic lines, please don't leave. I promise you I'll bring it back. It's just that, I feel like I want to also work on something that is new to me, like you did when I started out with neural lines. That was very new to me. But yeah, I love abstract art, and abstract art is so vast, and there's so many things that you can do with it, and I love that. And I have recently subscribed to so many new abstract artists on YouTube, and they all are very different, and they all do such wonderful work that I just feel inspired. And the reason why I started this one was because of one of the artists that I came across, and her name is Elise Fournier. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but her things, her art is just so magical, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I want to try this. So if she ever comes across this and she sees this, I hope she's not mad about me trying to recreate what she's doing, because I'm not. I feel very inspired, and I am in awe of her art, and I love that she sees things in her backgrounds that she has created, and then it's like an explosion of shapes and elements that she then incorporates. I mean, you have to go see it for yourself. It is quite something, and I am honestly surprised that her channel is not bigger, because she is so incredible. So if you ever see this, Elise, please know that I come from a place of respect, and I have admiration, nothing but admiration, and this is in no way me trying to copy you at all, but it just gave me an idea of where to start. And I've quickly realized that this is not easy, you guys. Throughout this whole process, I was so scared and intimidated, and it felt like I was holding my breath through it all. Even though once I started to get a sense of where this was going, I was able to feel a little bit more relieved. But up until then, it was a struggle. And I kept thinking to myself, how do people do this? How can they see things? I mean, why can't I do this? It was a very weird experience. And I almost feel like with neurographic art, even though it makes no sense, it's just creating lines, rounding out the corners, and then coloring it in. and it's very calming. And I think that was part of why I brought in the lines, because I needed to ground myself, and I needed to find comfort, because I felt out of my comfort zone. I truly was feeling out of my comfort zone. But even if you feel like this is not something that you can do, it's good to challenge yourself sometimes. And people might think, oh, abstract art is, for people who don't know how to draw or how to paint. And for me that might be true, but creating abstract art is not easy. And it is not something that you can just, say, I'm just gonna throw down some paint and call it abstract. I don't think that's how it works. And the more I work in the abstract field and explore it, the more I realize that. And my hat goes off to all the abstract artists out there, truly. Anyway, so here I am. I have created my lines, and I have made my marks, and now I am trying to break out some shapes. And at this point I feel like it's not working. I am following certain lines, and then I'm covering them up again, and then I feel like, oh, this might be something that I want to keep, and then I cover it up again, and it is I'm very much feeling in limbo right here. I covered this part up, and then I realized, no, wait, I want to keep it. I wasn't sure how well I would be able to cover things up and try something completely different. So that was part of my fear, I think. I came into this thinking I will start out with something and I will stick with it. And then I quickly realized that no, that's not how this works. And luckily, when you work with acrylics, it's fairly easy to cover things up that you don't like. But that was also something that I had to learn throughout this piece. So if I tell you that I have no idea what I'm doing here or where it's going, please believe me, because I had no idea. It's like, I am giving up. I can't do this. This is too much. Why am I doing this to myself? And yeah, I had very strong feelings throughout this. And I will let you listen into the thought process during it all at certain points throughout this video, because I want you to hear the relief or the exhaustion in my voice as I was working on this. Yeah, it's really interesting. I didn't think I was gonna have all these feelings. But I have to say, the moment I latched on to certain shapes, it did start to become a little bit easier. So I all of a sudden I felt this confidence, and I'm like, oh, this looks like something, and maybe let's explore it for a little bit. And then, I was like, oh, no, no, no. I might overwork it. Let me move on to something else. And you can see me throughout this flipping back and forth, going from shapes to shapes. And this might not be your cup of tea at all, and you might not love this kind of abstract art. But maybe by listening to my thought process, it might help you with what you're working on and what your style is. Because I feel like with everything that we do, we can learn so many other things that we can then implement in what we do. And yeah, it's just it's fun, and it's scary, and it's really challenging. So here it looks like I have found a shape that I want to explore a little bit, and I want to work with some highlights and some shading to see if I can make it look a little bit more 3D. But I want you to keep in mind that, I have I don't want to follow strict rules of, where is the light coming from, or what should be highlighted, what should be put in the shade, and things like that, because I don't think this is the right composition to feel like that, because there is so many different things that don't go together. I feel like I don't have to adhere to certain rules. It's almost like you're creating a fantasy world where nothing and everything makes sense. I don't know, does that make sense? It's a little fairyland. And again, Elise's pieces, that rhymes, Elise's art is very much a fairyland, and I just love it. I love it. And even though, like, sometimes I was thinking, I would like to maybe incorporate some like toadstools and make it really look fairy-like, but it never quite felt right. So I feel like maybe even though you're not going by strict rules and you can put in this whatever you want, your body will tell you, your brain will tell you, no, that's not where this particular piece is going. I'm sorry, you can't just force this toadstool on me. I'm working on creating something here, and nothing against toadstools, but hey, let me just put this on the paper here, and then maybe we can bring toadstools somewhere else. They might make an appearance somewhere else. So that's how I felt, like, oh, I want to see this, but I am not seeing it, and so I wasn't able to bring it out. Does that make sense? Like, it's really weird. It's like, I love mushrooms and fungus, and I love this type, and I wanted to bring it in this so badly, and I just couldn't. I didn't see it, and so it didn't end up in this piece, and I was okay with it in the end. But yeah, my first initial thought was toadstools, mushrooms, things like that, but no, it didn't work out like that. And that to me is very cool and very fascinating. And I realize that I have made you watch this process, and looking back at it and watching it for myself, I do understand that this hyperlapse is not for everyone, but please understand that had I left it in normal speed, it would have been a 5-hour, 6-hour video, and nobody wants to sit through it, because some of these things, they just take a long time, like shading and then trying to figure out, which parts am I going to leave in, which parts am I going to cover up. It would just take forever. I did edit some of the things out, like if the footage was too blurry, or if I just spent a long time shading, or if my hand was in the way, stuff like that. I did edit that out, but I just wanted to leave in as much footage as possible, because I find it interesting to see, you know, how did it start out, and then how did it change throughout. And I can't show you that unless I leave it in, but that just requires for me to speed it up quite a bit, and some people might get quite dizzy, and my eyes get tired watching it. And so I do understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea. So I apologize for you know, putting you through this, but I hope that on the other side, on the flip side, you will get all of that footage and that the behind the scenes of how this got created. As you can see, a little butterfly has emerged, and again, isn't that something? Who would have thought that there was a little butterfly in here when we started out? I didn't. I had no idea. I was still thinking mushrooms and toadstools. And then here's this butterfly. Where did this come from? Very cute. But also, you know, I didn't want the focus to be on the butterfly too much. I still wanted it to be very much part of my shapes. So I didn't think I was going to explore it more, other than, you know, giving it some more shading like I was doing here. So in the end, I wanted it to be there, but I didn't want it to be the focus of the painting in the end. And this part, I have to say, was heavily influenced by Elise's paintings. Even though I didn't know they were gonna show up in the beginning, but they showed up, and they wanted to be here, these little pods. And so I'm sorry, I couldn't stray away from it. I had to keep them in. And there is another part, and I will point it out when we get to it, that was also very much inspired by her painting. So I apologize, but also thank you very much for letting me go through the process in creating these little pods. After I finished working on these pods, I felt like I was coming to an end, and there was nothing more that I could do to bring out any more shapes, nor did I want to. And I had worked on this piece for a couple of hours, and so I was very tired, and I just wanted it to be at a place where I could come back to and finish it up. But yeah, I needed a break, and this was a good place to stop. And so I'm gonna let you listen to what I had to say about it once I came back to it.
It's been a couple of days and I just had to take a break from it because I love what came out of it. And now that it's time to embellish it a little bit more, I'm worried I'm gonna ruin it. So if that makes sense. So I had to take a step back and just leave it on my desk for a little while, and I moved on to doing something else. But now I'm ready to come back to it and start embellishing it and bring in some more color. I think it's pretty dark at the moment, so I want to brighten it up a little bit. So fingers crossed, I'm not gonna ruin it. I hope I won't. If not, I'd be very upset. But on the other hand, it is what it is, and it's a practice piece. So we're just gonna jump in and do it. I have some Posca pens that I might be using, and for some finer line art. And I have my acrylics. There's a couple more shadows that I want to bring in, and some highlights. Oh my gosh, just hoping I'm not gonna ruin it. So wish me luck. Let's do this.
So I kind of sort of knew what I wanted to do next. Like bringing, try to lighten it up a little bit because it was looking quite dark. But yeah, there's just a fine line of when is enough, and the fear of overworking it or messing it up. Because I liked the way it looked when I stopped, but I also knew it needed a little bit more. But I didn't know what does it need. Because I'm not proficient enough, I think. I don't know where to go next. And yeah, I messed up, man. I messed up a couple of times, and that frustrated me so much. And it was, I wanted to walk away from it. Like these things. It's hard when you start out with a composition and then you come back to it, and maybe your brain is in a different mindset. Maybe that's what it is. You're like, okay, today I'm feeling whimsy and not so bold and with big shapes. Today I want to create something small, and then you put it on your piece and it doesn't work. Or you're trying really hard to make it fit, and it just you've lost that train of thought. And that's how I felt with this. By the way, what I'm doing here also very heavily influenced by Elise. Oh man, hers is just so amazing. Although I have to say, I really enjoyed how this came out in the end. So it's almost, it reminds me of Alice in Wonderland a little bit. Yeah, anyway, that was the other part that I had mentioned earlier. I figured, I should point it out because, yeah, that was Elise's idea that I wanted to bring into my piece. But back to my struggles. Okay, this what I'm doing here. I wanted it to look like moss, but I knew I needed to bring in the white first so that I could block it out. And the moment I started it, I knew it wasn't the right thing. But then I kept pushing, and I felt like, yeah, I can totally make this work. I can make it work. And it just didn't feel right. You know, do you ever feel like that when you're working on something? You're like, I think I can make this work, but it just doesn't feel right. And then I started covering up my little rock that I painted in the front here. And I got so upset with myself. And I'm like, well, now that I started, maybe I just, if I keep going, it will all work out in the end. And then I kept covering up my rock. And I was so sad in the end that I did that. Oh, yeah. So I was like, okay, more moss. More is better, right? No, it just wasn't. I looked at it and I was like, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. And now what I'm gonna do? And I kept covering up my little rock, and I was so sad. I'm like, no, stop it. I just want to scream at my own self and say, just stop doing what you're doing. Can't you see that it's not working? But no, I kept trying and it just didn't work. So I moved on to something else. And I used the blue Posca pen, and it wasn't the right blue. I thought it was going to be a much darker blue. And then I came in with the black, and that also didn't work. And then I tried to cover it up or erase it, and that didn't work. And so then I came in with the acrylic paint and my brush, and that started to work. And so I was like, okay, maybe I can fix this. What is it even? I have no idea. What is it? And again, it's something that is very fascinating to me. Like, where did these shapes come from? And why are they hanging off the side of my page like that? But maybe it was influenced by me trying to cover it up. That's possible. But yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange and cool at the same time. So I found that, oh, okay, even though I messed up, or I felt like I messed up, I was able to kind of sort of fix it, which I was very relieved. But know this, I was heavily stressed at this point. I'm like, oh, I was cursing myself. I'm like, why did you do that? You didn't want to do that. And now you have to fix it, and you have to spend all this time making it right again. And maybe that's just part of the process that you have to, go through in order to realize, to like what you end up with. I don't know. So fixing the problem up top gave me the confidence to try and fix what I created on the bottom here. And so I covered up my moss, I want to call it, with white, and then I didn't give this part enough time to dry, and then it got all kind of a little bit muddied. So I was so stressed at this point, and I will let you listen in a little bit how I felt at that moment after it was done. It was yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's funny now to listen back to it. But yeah, up until now I was like, I screwed it up. It's going in the trash. let me fix, at least try and fix my little rock here. Let me bring back those beautiful shadings that I had before I screwed it up. And yeah, I mean, it kind of sort of worked, but I am happy in the end, but I'm also very sad that my initial rock was gone. And then I knew I needed to bring in the whimsy from the right somewhere. So I figured, you know, I would put it over on the other side of the rock. And in the end, I think it worked, but you know, it wasn't, it's not my most favorite part of the painting. But let me have you listen in to my feelings here that I had after I was done with this.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this was stressful. Also, I'm not quite done yet, so, but I need to take a break. This was oh, but hear me out. The good thing is, let me zoom you out. The good thing is, you can correct mistakes. So, there's still a lot that I need to fix down here, but I'm happy where I'm at right now. I still need to kind of fix this up here. I'm not quite done up here. But I'm glad I fixed the mess that I created on the bottom here. I don't know what happened, but I enjoyed the outcome of this one. So I kind of want to carry this over to this side, but I don't want to make it look the same. But I'm not quite sure yet how it's gonna look. So, but I need to take a break. This has been stressful, so I will be back. Food first.
See what I mean? Wow, those were some raw emotions. I mean, not to sound too dramatic, but this is what you feel sometimes when, you know, you're working on these things. It's emotional, and I don't know if everybody feels like that, but it felt real, man. I had some serious doubts for a while there, and but I knew I had to get to a point where I felt comfortable before I could walk away, and that was a good place to stop. And when I came back to it, I felt like I'm able to finish it, and we're in a good place. You know, could I have worked on it more? Sure. Is art ever done? Like, does it ever come to a point where you say, this is it, full stop, don't drop everything, like, now we're completely done? I don't think so. With everything I do, I feel like, oh, I could have added this, and I could have done that, or I could have changed that. So, you know, you're never done. But at some point, you're just gonna have to say, okay, it is what it is. This is the best I can do, and walk away. And I felt like I had already given myself enough stress. Enough stress over this that I just wanted it to be done, and it looked great to me in the end. Although, you know, like I mentioned, there's certain things that I'm not extremely happy about it. But I also need to give myself some grace and just say, hey, you're new at this. You don't know how to bring the best out And hopefully I will get to this space at some point. Like this thing that I'm working on here, I didn't want it to look like that, but in the end I said, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to cover it up. I don't want to have to think about changing it. Yeah, it could probably use a little bit more work, but I was just at that point I was like, you know what, no, we're done. We're just gonna make it slowly come to an end, and call it a day, and feel happy about this first piece. I mean, honestly, in the end, I'm very happy with how it turned out. It's very out there, it's very funky, it's, you know, nothing goes together, but I like it. I like the colors, I like the style, and in the end I loved the process, the highs and the lows and all the in-betweens. But yeah, I'm gonna leave you here, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've ever tried something like this before, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Did you like it? Would you attempt to do something like this? And do you want to see more of it? And yeah, you know, I'm here for any and all comments. So let's chat down below, and I will see you next time.